good people. Welcome to another Sunday Sovereignty, coming to you live from my bed this time. A more controlled setting than, the winds and stuff like that. So I really want to try and get this in under 10 minutes, just because I guess it's a challenge of mine that I want to do. Okay, so today we are talking about the art of letting go. And really what this is about cultivating acceptance, right? To really radically accept the circumstance of, whatever you're in, such that you can release yourself from it. The first thing I'm going to start off with is kind of where this comes from for me. I have always kind of struggled to let go, to really just release from things or events that have happened in my life, in such a way that it wasn't weighing on me like years later. Now, I only recently came into, just like the cheat codes for being able to let go, and be at peace at the moment of letting go, and not like 2-3 weeks or a couple of months or years later, right? And it was really just like from a moment of deep reflection, and from really coming to terms with, okay, we got to stop these bag lady tendencies. You might even have seen my Instagram handle as Bag Lady Greens. Nobody ever asked me what that means, right? They just assume that it's got to do with the green bag somehow. But I am very much, or I am a retired now, I'm a retired bag lady. And the greens is about now eating your veggies, eating your bag lady veggies. And this is kind of something around that, of just like getting to a point of saying, look, babes, we can't do bag lady tendencies anymore. We really need to learn and cultivate and carry a practice of acceptance and letting go, because that's what releases us. That's what frees us to be in the present, or to maintain eternal presentness. So one thing I want to say is that I realized that really at the root, at the heart of what makes it difficult for me to let go, is that essentially we are all infinitely creative beings, right? At our very core, our very nature is to create. There's creative potential. And so anything we give our attention to, right, we already see the creative potential of it. We see the very many ways that it can, we can add to it, we can grow it, we can cultivate it. That similar process happens when we are looking back and reflecting on our lives, right? That's that feeling or sense of like, man, I should have said this, or I could have done that. That's that creative potential in you being able to see other ways or other avenues of recreating a certain past life event, circumstance, whatever. What does that mean then about past events? That means that whenever you're reflecting, whenever you're looking back, right, there'll always be, yes, you can see a new perspective, but the very reason why you're able to see a new perspective, to see a recreation of the events, is because of your infinite creative potential. So it's about learning how to really separate or cut off, or maybe cut off is not the right word, but effectively and poignantly releasing yourself from that event, enough to kind of create a separation, between, this is something I can still actively create and produce and cultivate, or this is something that I can look back on but know that, okay, I'm good now. There's no longer a need to continue to to pump creative potential into, that event, that whatever it was. So what are my 3 things for learning to cultivate acceptance? Point number 1 is pretty much about preparation, in a sense, right? Doing your reflection before the act, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't reflect afterwards, but it is about it's about cultivating intention, right? Doing your reflection before the act is a practice of cultivating intention. Really think through some of the things you want to do, say, in any kind of situation, right? Let's take relationships, for example, right? Taking the time to say you want to set a new boundary in that relationship, taking the time to really filter through and think through your own emotions and feelings and objectives for wanting to set that boundary, right? Doing the work ahead of time so that when it comes time to act, you don't get distracted or confused by the events of by the ingredients of the event, right? By the features or the elements of the event, right? It's about going in and knowing what it is you're going in to do, what it is you're going in for, what it is you want to achieve when you start acting on that intention. 1, it supports your ability to act in integrity, and that's about point number 2, right? Acting in integrity is knowing where you stand emotionally, mentally, and spiritually in the act that you're producing, right? And that means that you've done the work, what it's serving you to act on the intention that you've seeded, right? That's also about, when you're acting in integrity, it doesn't mean that you kind of go in rigid with this idea of how things are going to be. No, it's about being certain about your intention and allowing for, whatever happens in the interaction to happen, and being open to knowing that, things may not go exactly as you had envisioned, but it's about keeping your mind's eye on what is it that I'm doing this for? Am I doing it for my well-being? So that am I doing it for creating a better environment in this relationship, a better atmosphere in this relationship, in this interaction, right? So that when you are in the midst of the act, right, you can keep your intention in mind while still allowing things to unfold as they naturally would in an organic kind of way. This is important because this is, that's the thing that will feed you in terms of once the act is done, right, and you are satisfied that you were able to hold your intention and deliver your intention in that interaction, right? You've already done the work of thinking that intention through, right? You've acted in integrity and, tried to align your action with your intention as much as possible. Those 2 things are so important because those are the things that will feed your need to maybe go back and maybe replay things in your head, right? When that process starts happening, you'll realize that you're like, okay, but no, I wanted to do this, I went in and did that, and was able to achieve it, or was able to maintain my integrity. Of course, things like kindness and compassion and acting with mindfulness are important for also supporting integrity. Now, I'm a rest queen, but I'm a rest queen for a reason. Rest after acting, right? So reflect before, do your reflection before. So really cultivate your intention and get sure and grounded in your intention, right? Act in integrity, which means don't lose sight of your intention when you start acting on it, when you start following through on you know, what you've been thinking, feeling, and what it is you want to achieve by acting on that intention. And then once you've done that, right, rest. Just rest. Separate yourself from that situation, event, circumstance, right? Do something else. Put your mind somewhere else. Self-care, nap, do whatever it is that you do for resting's sake. Take a puff if that's what you're about. Rest supports acceptance. Rest supports integrity. Rest also creates a punctuation, right, between the act and what you could have put into it creatively, you know, with your creative potential, and just separating from it and getting to a point of satisfaction about, okay, it's done now. I did it, it's dead. Keep it moving. And then once you've really taken time to rest and restore, because even acting on your intention, especially if it's something that's scary, right, can, you know, you can still feel really overwhelmed, and your body might still be really overwhelmed with acting it out, with having gone through the event. um, rest supports clarity. Rest supports your ability to be able to reflect back with clarity, with that integrity support, and not feel like, man, maybe I should double back and do this or do that or whatever. Rest supports inner peace. Rest supports release, right? Which means just removing yourself and being satisfied with what it is you put out there, whatever it was. Yeah, and those are my 3 things for supporting a culture of acceptance, a culture of release and letting go.